Number 1.
Robert Louis Christian, age 18, went missing from Madison, Wisconsin on September 16, 1977. Robert left his family home in Madison, Wisconsin at 5:30 p.m. to travel to Baraboo, Wisconsin, where he'd planned to meet a friend, Randy Griffith, at his home. They intended to go bow hunting the following morning. Shortly after leaving home, he withdrew $25 from his bank account and purchased cigars from a Walgreens store. His mother saw him as he exited the bank parking lot, as she happened to pass by at the same time. They waved and nothing seemed amiss. Mrs. Christian proceeded to take her other children to a high school football game. When she returned home, she became alarmed when Randy's mother called to say that Robert had never arrived. It should have taken less than an hour to get there. His AMC Hornet wagon was found by Robert's father and brother the following day in a driveway near the State Patrol relay antenna on Tower Road. Note: one article states it was on Albert Road, which was described as a lover's lane. The tires, wheels, and battery had been removed. His high school jacket and the change of clothes he'd brought were still in the car. His bow and arrow, along with a satchel of nursing supplies belonging to his mother, were missing. A dog was able to track his scent down the driveway to the road, but the scent was lost at that point. It had rained in the time since Robert was seen, so tracks and footprints were no longer visible. Investigators did state that it looked like no jack had been used to remove the tires. Due to Robert being an adult, police did not immediately investigate his disappearance. However, once the case was publicized, a tip came in which directed law enforcement to a quarry near the Badger Army ammunition plant. A set of old tires and hubcaps were found that were believed to be connected to Robert's case. It's theorized that someone stole the new tires from Robert's car, leaving their own old ones, along with Robert's hubcaps at the quarry. The hubcaps are reported to have been found with bullet holes through them. Additionally, a woman came forward, claiming to have seen Robert and his car at 8 p.m. in the driveway of a nun's residence near a retreat in Dunward's Glen. He reportedly told the witness he was looking for his friend, before stating that he must be in the wrong place and driving away to the east. It's worth reiterating that this was 2.5 hours after he'd left home on a trip that should have taken less than an hour. Robert was said to be familiar with the area and not likely to get lost. There is an unconfirmed claim that the nun's home was burglarized around the time of his disappearance. I've so far been unable to corroborate this, but the claim is that the burglar was still on the property when Robert arrived. The woman who said she'd seen Robert is reported to have been visiting the nun's residence, which seems odd if a burglar was there. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Robert's family does not believe he would have left voluntarily. He wasn't having any issues in his life, and he looked forward to completing college and becoming a computer programmer. Following Robert's disappearance, his sister Kathy died in a fire at a bar called Rosa's Cantina. It was determined that the fire had been intentionally set by members of a biker club who believed she was working as an informant. Kathy's death is not believed to be related to Robert's disappearance. The circled area on the right side of the map is where Robert is believed to have been seen by a witness, stating that he was looking for his friend. One of the two question marks would represent the location where his car was found. Unfortunately, there seem to be two Tower Roads, and I am unsure which they were referring to in news articles. The red pin near the bottom of the map is the area where the tires and hubcaps were located. It's not known where in Baraboo Robert was headed, as we do not have a location of his friend Randy's home at that time. It could be helpful if we had a rough idea or knew whether he went in the right direction after leaving the nun's driveway.
Number 2.
Mary Kay Radford was last seen in Augusta, Georgia on March 28, 1974. She was between 22 and 25 years old. Her profile states that she was last seen at her apartment, but I've been unable to find any additional details about her disappearance. She was born Mary Kay Medlin and was the daughter of Hilliard and Mary Medlin. She went by her middle name Kay and may also use the last name Tudor. Her husband, Roderick Radford, was killed in a car accident in October 1973, 5 months before Kay went missing. They had a young daughter. Because she vanished so soon after her husband's death, and I've seen no indication that their marriage was troubled, I'm inclined to think Kay was still grieving when she vanished. It's well known that many disappearances are caused by spouses, ex-spouses, or other romantic partners, but I'm not sure that makes sense here. It's hard to say what might have happened to Kay, but I hope she can be found soon. I can't imagine how hard it must have been for her daughter, losing both parents within such a short time. I'd like to see her have answers. Kay is a white female and 24 years old at the time. Her maiden name was Medlin and may have used last name, Tudor. She's 5'0" to 5'5" and around 105 pounds. She has strawberry blonde hair that was shoulder length. She was known to wear wigs. She has a scar on the back of her right arm and a scar on her right shoulder blade where moles had been removed. It's believed she was wearing white pants without pockets and a green bodysuit.
Number 3.
Edna was last seen in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on June 24, 1975. She had recently graduated from Stetson Junior High School, and her brother-in-law gave her a pony as a gift. On the day of her disappearance, Edna left her family's home on Front Street to go visit her new horse at its stable on a relative's home at Tioga Street. She invited her 13-year-old sister to join her, but her sister stayed behind. Edna was last seen leaving the Tioga Street stable. She has never been heard from again. Although Edna had been in foster care as a child and she had recently argued with her sister, there is no indication she'd been planning to run from home, and she didn't take any money with her, only a pack of cigarettes. She wasn't dating anyone at the time of her disappearance. Edna never returned, and her family doesn't believe she would have left voluntarily. She brought nothing but a pack of cigarettes with her. Her cigarettes were left at the stable. Edna's family has received phone calls over the years from a man who claimed to know what Edna had been wearing, and he stated that her remains could be found in Pennapack Park, but the caller has not been identified, and his claims have never been substantiated. There have been rumors over the years that Edna may have been sexually abused by the then-husband of one of her older sisters. She may have been pregnant at the time of her disappearance as a result, and according to a relative, her rumored abuser was at the stable when Edna arrived. It's been stated that this man has refused to take a polygraph test. Edna's parents are both deceased, and her siblings continue to search for her.
Number 4.
Gautier was last seen in Bradenton, Florida on June 26, 1975. He had left his family's Comac, New York home and traveled to Ruskin, Florida to visit an uncle. At the time of his disappearance, he was living with a couple of young male roommates in Bradenton. He has never been heard from again. He was driving a green Carmen Ghia when he disappeared. Gautier's family can't think of any reason why he would have wanted to walk out of his life. He spoke to his mother on the phone shortly before he disappeared, and their conversation was normal. He had talked about going on a tour through the western US, and at first his family thought he might have simply left to take the trip, but they reconsidered this theory after months and years passed without their having heard from him. His roommate said they had no idea what happened to him. In mid-April 1981, someone calling himself Lee Gautier called Gautier's parents collect at their New York home at 4:30 p.m. Lee Gautier was the name Gautier's family called him. His mother answered the phone and agreed to accept the charges, but the caller hung up before they could be connected. The call was traced to a payphone in Daytona Beach, Florida. Almost a month later, Gautier's parents got another call from a person claiming to be Lee Gautier, and again the caller hung up before they could be connected. This call was traced to the cell block in the Orange County Jail in Orlando, Florida. There was no inmate in the jail listed under the name of Lee Gautier or Kenneth Lee Gautier, and the jail staff were unable to determine who placed the call. In response to the calls, Gautier's brother flew to Florida, searched for Gautier among Daytona Beach's transient population, and put up posters asking him to call home. One witness thought she recognized Gautier from photographs. She said she'd seen a man who looked like him shooting pool in a local bar. The man she'd seen was missing fingers from his right hand, like Gautier. However, Gautier's brother's search was ultimately fruitless, and the person or persons who called his parents in 1981 has never been identified. Gautier's case remains unsolved. There's been no confirmed sign of his whereabouts since 1975. I don't want any more families to experience the regret felt by so many others. Kenny has been missing for over 40 years. If there is new information, the Gautier family is extremely fortunate. New information in cases this far back is rare. Kenny would be in his 60s now. So would the youngest of those that were old enough to see him in a bar, be an inmate in a non-juvenile detention facility, or be an adult neighbor or roommate of his. His uncle, if still alive, would likely be at least in his 80s. If there is information that could assist in finding him, whether sparking a memory in someone of a person or action they saw long ago, or alerting someone who currently resides in an area where he might be, the time to be Kenny's voice is now. I would give anything to be able to give families back the time they spent hurting in silence, but I can't do that. So I hope I can at least save others from ending up in the same boat. As far as Kenny's case, arrest and inmate records are public record, and it may be possible to locate a roster of who was incarcerated at the time of Kenny's disappearance. There should be mug shots in case Kenny was there under an alias name. If not, it might be possible to research inmates near Kenny's age who lived in Ruskin, Bradenton or Daytona Beach back when Kenny was known to be in Florida. That could lead to someone who knew him. I hope he is still alive and well somewhere. It sounds like a good possibility.
Number 5.
Mary Ann was last seen in Chicago, Illinois at 10:15 p.m. on July 15, 1963. She attended a carnival at St. Priscilla's Catholic Church at Addison and Harlem, and this was her last confirmed location. She never returned home. Her parents received a letter a couple days later, which was believed to be from Mary Ann. The letter stated that she was okay and that she was going to earn money to help support them. Her parents stated that the letter appeared to be in Mary Ann's handwriting, though it did not seem like her writing style. She wouldn't tell where she was because she didn't want anyone to interfere, and she added she might never see her parents or friends again, but she promised to call them. The letter was postmarked Oak Park, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, where Mary Ann had often gone shopping with her family. A tip was soon reported, which suggested that Mary Ann had joined a group that sold magazines door to door, and that the group was headed to California. 4 years later, Alan J. Silver of New York was arrested in a motel on robbery charges. The Switalski family, as well as law enforcement, were interested, as Silver had a magazine sales group that was in Chicago at the time Mary Ann went missing. In a 1969 Chicago Tribune article, a retired investigator who had been assigned to the case back in 1963 stated that she believed Silver's group was the one Mary Ann had joined. There are separate references in the same article to a husband and wife who headed a magazine sales group who had been questioned. The couple had acknowledged that they had hired Mary Ann, but one of them stated she had gone with the group to California, while the other claimed she had never left Illinois. Strangely, the article does not specify whether Alan Silver was the husband or not. Mary Ann's family ran personal ads for many years, urging her to contact them. They received some scattered responses with tips, but none led to her whereabouts. Mary remains missing, and there have been no additional clues to her whereabouts.